let's watch a second game. This is going to be Brad Nelson. Who have we seen Brad's deck up yet?
I don't think we've actually put it up yet. No.
What about Brad's deck?
He's got the deck that Paul Cheon used to win his week.
Yeah, Green Devotion, just a touch of red for Xenagos and Dragon Lord Atarka. And Brad is going to be playing against Josh Utter-Leyton, who we did see his deck briefly. We can remind people who may have just tuned in, but Josh is also on a Devotion strategy. So these guys have 8 Nykthoses between them, right?
That's a lot of Nykthoses. We haven't seen a ton of Nykthoses in this league so far, but they have not done poorly.
Yeah, mono red, so Devotion to green and Devotion to, well, dragons.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of dragons between these two decks as well. I mean, Brad has his Dragon Lord Atarkas, and then Josh has basically every kind of dragon possible. Well, at least 8 of them plus a Whisper, which I assume counts here.
Even the Irish Shaman is sort of almost counts, right? Or the Whisperer, yeah. Everybody wants to make dragons. Kind of awesome. Draconic Roar. I don't know. How good do you think this deck is? Assume this is Josh's latest brew, and you haven't really had a lot of specific experience with it.
I definitely have don't have a lot of experience with this deck specifically. My main problem with Devotion decks is there's just a lot of removal getting played in Standard right now.
Okay.
But I think that a lot of these threats are kind of resilient, and yeah, if you play one of these Phoenixes, they'll do a good job of coming back. The dragons kind of punch for themselves, so it's got a slightly lower curve than some of the Devotion decks in the past.
Yeah, it is fully 29 creatures, too. Eidolon is in an interesting spot in this deck. He's basically saying, I can play an Eidolon, and all of my stuff is too expensive to hurt me.
Yeah. There are a couple cards that do hurt Josh still, but I guess his assumption is also that Eidolon is just better for him if it's in play than it is, even if he's taking a little bit of damage off those.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels Nykthos, right? It's an RR2 drop. That's certainly pretty nice. But it's also, yeah, it's interesting how little damage you may wind up taking from it.
Well, like the Devotion decks, that especially when we saw during just straight Theros Standard, you will play almost any red or, star 2-drop, basically. A lot of those saw play. Just because people were able to, play it on turn 2 and add 2 to the Devotion count. It was hard to find cards that replicate that.
Fair. All right, looks like we're getting these guys into their game, getting the hand cam set up. It should not be much longer now. Maybe we can go back to Brad's deck again. Any idea how the matchup plays out between Red Devotion and Green Devotion?
I actually don't think it's that bad for the red deck. Normally the Green Devotion decks are good against like mid-range type decks, which the red kind of falls into, but Josh has a lot of flyers. He's got Phoenixes and he's got Dragons, and he's got cards like Dragon Whisperer and Irish Shaman, which also provide an advantage. I think Josh is in decent shape. Cards like Genesis... Yeah, just cards like Genesis Hydra are a little bit slow and they don't interact with Josh's flyers. On the other hand, Hornet Queen's like almost unbeatable. So if Brad can get a Hornet Queen or a Dragon Lord Atarka, that'll be pretty good, hard for Josh to beat.
Yeah, it seems like Brad's going to win the fight on the ground, but Josh can take the fight to the air, where Brad's only trump are the 2 copies of Hornet Queen, one of which he already has in his hand. Interesting. Both players have a Nykthos in their draw. This could be fun.
It's a lot better in Brad's draw, though, because Brad, not only is he on the play, he gets to go turn 2 Courser, and that usually sets up some pretty fast starts.
I mean, Josh has just the Eidolon. Yeah, I guess he's got a good turn 3 play. All right. Interesting. Yeah, on the play with a Mystic into a turn 2 Courser. Certainly a good start for Brad Nelson.
Yeah, turn 2 Courser is kind of the dream. It's one of the reasons you play decks like this is that you just get to cast turn 2 Courser. So having it on the play is about as good as you can expect. Granted, the rest of Brad's hand is not great. He doesn't have a 4 or a 5 drop. He's only got a 7 drop. But between Courser and Scrylands, he can draw more 7 drops.
right, we'll try to get Dragon Lord Atarka moved over to Brad's side of the field. That is the top of Brad's library. Here we go. Eidolon is Josh's turn to play, of course.
Well, Brad's playing around the Eidolon. He's got no cards that he can cast, and all his cards cost 7. So that's just basically Eidolon immunity.
Library attempting to go back onto the wrong side of the board. Move it again. All right, now what?
Josh could play face down Ashcloud Phoenix. He could also just Crater's Claws the Elvish Mystic. I don't hate doing that. You're not that close to casting Claws, and that keeps Brad off playing like a Whisperwood Elemental or something like that.
Sure. It's also a green pip off the board for the Nykthos that you already see face up and play. Effectively takes 2 mana away by killing it, right? Yeah, face down Ashcloud Phoenix? At this point, so these guys do not have deck lists for the first round. I mean, they get to see deck lists after they finish their first round match. But I mean, there's always this little game of, okay, what am I actually playing against? At this point, Josh pretty much should know Brad's list, though, right?
Yeah,
it's clearly a Green Devotion deck. He sees the red splash. He should just know what Brad's up to.
Yeah, he saw a Dragon Lord Atarka already. That between that Corsair and Elvish Mystic and Nykthos, you already know everything. Brad is not going to predict this Crater's Claws, because Josh could just be playing a mono red aggro deck that didn't have a 1-drop. Now Crater's Claws comes out and you're like, what is going on?
Do you think Brad gets all the way to Devotion from the Crater's Claws?
He could. Eidolon plus Crater's Claws is a very strange combination. It's hard to really go many other places. Ooh, Pelucranos. That is not a bad one.
All right, Blood Pace. Courser into the Eidolon. Here's a land. And yeah, the Courser can just attack through the Eidolon.
Now Josh gets to start dropping flyers.
Which one do you lead with?
Thunderbreak is my assumption.
Yeah, mine too.
It's just the biggest. It's the hardest to kill with like a Pelucranos. Hits for as much damage as Ashcloud Phoenix. You don't want to play Flamewake till... You could potentially play Flamewake next, but I imagine you don't want to play Ashcloud next anyway. You know Pelucranos is coming.
Now, how far away is the Hornet Queen at this point?
It's not too far. If Pelucranos survives, then you get to Nykthos out of Hornet Queen on turn 6. That's going to be really hard for Josh to beat. Josh doesn't have a really good answer to Hornet Queen.
Whisperwood is the card Brad's looking at. Keep, right?
I probably would not keep that here. I don't know. It doesn't really do a whole lot. Like, it's fine. I mean,
it's below average.
All you want is big spells, so it's actually okay because it's like a medium spell comparatively. Yeah. But you already have 7/7 plus Pelucranos. So it actually doesn't really matter what Brad does here. I think the fact that he's going to cast Pelucranos, he's going to hope it survives, then cast Hornet Queen, then cast Atarka, or cast Atarka then Hornet Queen. Who knows? Means that I guess you keep Whisperwood, but it just doesn't really matter a whole lot. I think it's very close.
All right, update on the back table. Owen Turtenwald has won his match. Owen continues to just pull away from the pack. Paul Cheon will not be picking up any points this week, but Owen will. Pretty impressive stuff from Owen.
Yeah, he has been crushing the league, and it's not particularly close. So Josh needs to draw another Crater's Claws here, because Josh can hit, but you know, Brad's at 24. He's gonna get hit down to 20. That's not a huge, amount of work. There's a lot left for Josh to go through. Even if he plays another Phoenix, and even if he draws a Crater's Claws, Brad's still gonna be able to stabilize pretty easily here.
Hornet Queen and Atarka will do that. Yeah, Thunderbreak attacks. I mean, that's Josh's route to victory. What else is he gonna do, right?
Yeah, he's got to attack here, but he's not really in good shape. Basically, Brad's going to start doing things that are very, very good, and Josh is still doing things that are very, very medium. So I kind of like playing Hornet Queen over Tarka, targeting the Thunderbreak and taking 3. I guess it doesn't matter that much. You go to 17, then you can kill the Ash Cloud as well. Playing Hornet Queen seems like it's pretty awesome. Actually, either play is just so good. Like, Brad is in such dominant shape here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said Josh should have control of the skies unless Brad draws Hornet Queen.
Yeah, or a Tarka, actually. Brad has 2 7-drops that are both very, very good at kind
What
of
does he run,
making
2
the.
of each?
I think it's 2 Hornet Queen, 3 Tarka, and that makes it so it's very, very difficult for Josh to win through the air if he doesn't do it somewhat quickly. And Josh's
Yeah,
deck
right.
is not the fastest, so this doesn't look like a great matchup for Josh.
Yeah, fully 3 Atarka. So you're right. It's 5 of those.
One reason to play a Tarka over Hornet Queen, you do take 3 off the Thunderbreak, but you do put Josh on a much faster clock. You're attacking for 8 a turn. Plus the Pelucranos might as well send.
Oh, by the way, the medium size, the middle of his curve, the Pelucranos, still chipping away.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that decks like this always play so many Pelucranos and why these decks are good, honestly, is that it's a 4-drop that does a lot on turn 4 as a 5/5 that also you can sink 20 mana into and be very happy with the outcome.
More big flyers for Josh, but they're not as big as Brad's flyer. We gonna see Brad Nelson pick up his second win finally?
Someone has to.
Well, in this match, Brad doesn't. We don't have to. Josh already has a couple.
True.
Josh
I think Brad is going to win this game, though, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. If Brad wins this match, it'll be Brian Kidler all by himself in last place. And Brad playing Andrew next round.
I wonder what that matchup looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's Andrew waiting for the winner of this match. Either way, just Brad clearly ahead so far.
It's possible that Brad could just win this turn. How much can he Pelucranos for? 6, 7, 8. No, not quite enough to actually win, but he can certainly attack and then. Well, actually, no. He could because Tarka has trample. He can Pelucranos down the 2 small things. Yeah, I guess he can Pelucranos down the 2 small things, the Eidolon and the face down creature, and then attack with everything. Pelucranos has to get blocked, and then he deals 11. So Brad could just go for the win this turn. He could also go for the win next turn. That would be decent as well.
Is there any kind of sweeper he should be worried about? I mean, you never know what Josh is going to show up with. He's definitely got crazy wide range.
It's true.
Is there any danger at committing this Hornet Queen to the board? I don't even know what the sweeper would be that he could be living in fear of.
Maybe some sort of like weird burn spell, or combination. But I don't really think that's going to be the case.
Well, he's going for the Pelucranos play that you just scripted for us. 2 to the Eidolon, 2 to the face down creature, and now the attack with all button is his friend.
Well, he didn't actually use the attack with all button. I saw those go manually up, so.
Metaphorically speaking. Metaphorical
Yes.
friend. May have attacked with them one at a time, but there is no way for Josh to survive that attack. Atarka trample, so he has to block Pelucranos, and then 2, 2, and 8. That's lethal. All right, Brad Nelson up a game. The Grand Prix level Standard Master trying to actually put some points on his Standard Super League score. What does sideboarding do here?
Well, Brad does get Plummet. Plummet's the kind of card that when it's good, it's good. And given what he saw this game, I can't imagine they don't come in. Other than that, I don't actually think I would want Hornet Nest. Arbor Colossus looks pretty good as well.
Yeah,
both those cards look awesome.
The which what?
Both Arbor Colossus and Plummet look awesome against Josh's like mid-range Dragons deck.
Is this an Ugin matchup?
Yeah, I don't love Ugin. I think it's worse than all your 7s, and you don't need anything bigger to win. Like, you can assume that Atarka and Hornet Queen will both do so much when you cast them that I think you're good to rely on those instead. Why play an 8 when a 7 will do?
Let's look at Josh's deck. So he's now seen what he's up against. It's the Green Devotion deck.
And he gets to side in Roast. Roast is an efficient card. It can kill Pelucranos. Other than that, I mean, you could side in Wild Slash or Outpost Siege, but I don't love them. Zurgo, Bellstrike, or Mardu Scout on the sideboard is something.
Wow, that's interesting. That doesn't seem right in this matchup, but it's kind of a cool sideboard plan. There is
And
the roast.
there's the Arbor Colossus. And there's the turn 2 Courser.
On the draw, though, so not quite as insane. Still pretty good. That's your theory?
Yeah, on the draw is still pretty awesome.
It's a Dragon Whisperer.
That is not a card that has seen a ton of standard play so far.
It's pretty. If you're in Red Devotion, though, it's RR. And like you said, you want ways that you can sort of do productive things with your mana, right? How about putting dragons into play? Does that count as a productive thing to do with your mana?
It does, especially if you're using it multiple times a turn here. Meanwhile, Brad is, even though with the Courser getting roasted, is going to have a turn 4 Whisperwood or Arbor Colossus followed by a presumably a turn 6 Hornet Queen. Josh needs to kill the elf if he wants to avoid that. It actually looks better still to kill the elf, even though it's not too exciting to not be adding things to the board. If you don't kill the elf and Whisperwood comes down, that's just so bad for you.
Dragon Whisperer gets in a couple, and yeah, Trader's Claws is the card that gets highlighted.
Josh choosing to use Crater's Claws over Draconic Roar, presumably because he expects to draw a dragon and use the Draconic Roar in the way it was meant to be used at some point. Well, a 4th land would have helped Josh here, since he's now not able to play 2 spells. He gets to just play 1. Brad's only going to play 1 too, but Brad's spell is going to be a little bit better. I assume a Whisperwood Elemental to start with.
Yep, Brad sacks Wooded Foothills. We go get a 5th land. And he elects for Arbor Colossus.
Presumably just because he doesn't want to get roasted. Then again, regardless of which one he played, he would have survived. Josh can now just play his more 2-drops and just say go. He's not that close to activating Dragon Whisperer. I guess he can sack Generator Servant to activate one once he gets up to Ferocious. But you can't actually have Ferocious if you have to sack the Generator Servant. Cycle of Nihility is a nice one too. I don't think Brad needs to go quite down that route yet, but he will have the option soon.
He can just keep summoning Arbor Colossuses.
Yeah, Colossi.
Colossuses.
I guess he's running out the Nihilese Disciple just in case to gain 6 life here. Or no, he's just going to run out the Arbor Colossus. Sorry.
Well, he turns a 1-mana profit on Nixos, so.
Yeah, it looked like he might be wanting to hedge by playing Nihilese Disciple, but this actually makes a lot of sense. Ooh, Josh drew a Nixos. That can't have been a bad draw.
Yeah, it turns his hand on a little bit, but yeah, it just doesn't feel like he's got the ability to deal with Arbor Colossus.
Yeah, so Josh can generate up to 6 mana, 8 if you sack Generator Servant. So he can't quite make a dragon off Dragon Whisperer. He can cast Draconic Roar. He can just cast all the cards in his hand, but that's not even that good. I mean, he gets to put more things onto the board, but his 2/2s don't match up very well against 6/6s. And if Brad gets to untap and tap Nykthos for 7 mana, 7, 8, 9, 10, he can play like Hornet Queen. If he draws a land, Hornet Queen plus Nihilese Disciple, which I can't imagine Josh coming back from.
I mean, is Josh maybe trying to set up next turn? He can start making a bunch of dragons. I mean, if he got to untap after playing an Eidolon and a Dragon Whisperer, right? He's up to like 9 red pips in play. I'm not saying it's even then. Like even if that's still only enough to make 1 dragon off of a Whisperer.
Interesting. I think Josh wanted a Draconic Roar of the Elvish Mystic, but he ended up doing it in order we would have taken 2 off Eidolon. So either he decided he didn't want to do that, or he played that on then decided. I'm not sure which one happened there.
So far, the battle between Red Devotion and Green Devotion feels like it's edge green.
Yeah, this has not been particularly close. Brad's just playing a giant Genesis Hydra now. Not even playing the Nihilese Disciple. Just no need.
Yeah, I mean, some cool ideas in Josh's deck. Wow. He can get a Tarka. Genesis Hydra for 8.
Yeah, getting a Tarka and wiping Josh's board seems
Which
like it's pretty
3 creatures
brutal.
would you like to kill?
It's not literally lethal right now, but it's about as close as it gets.
Right. He kills 3 creatures, and he gets to attack with his 2 Arbor Colossi. Wow. Yeah, the more familiar ideas in Brad's deck seem, well, better. They are familiar for a reason. I mean, Josh's brews have gotten him up to the middle of the pack. I mean, he's on 45 points this year.
Yeah, which is not
So,
bad.
certainly has had some success, but not this week. So, Brad Nelson, victorious. Brad Nelson finally wins another.